everyone, I'm Kariba Divine, and welcome to 12 News Weekend. Every week, we take a look back at the most compelling stories from our 12 News journalists. On today's show, with summer heating up, wildlife is getting more active, putting Arizonans on high alert. And then a little bit later, new testing is transforming the battle against valley fever. But first, it's one of the weirdest pieces of real estate in Arizona. 12 News journalist Kyle Simchuk gives us a sneak peek at this rock-solid house.
Forget curb appeal, this house has cliff appeal. Welcome to Sidewinder Ranch, a home as unique as it is mysterious.
We don't know who built this or why it was built or when it was built, or the little cabin up on the hill there that's got stuff from the 1920s in it. I don't know, it's just kind of a mystery.
Clay Greathouse, yes, that's his real name, is the listing agent and owner of Arizona Desert Rat Realty. He took us up along the long, primitive driveway and gave us an exclusive look inside the bizarre desert dwelling that's going viral after being featured on Zillow Gone Wild. It's part home, part geology exhibit. Bedrock spills into every room, and yes, that's a stream trickling through the house.
I think sometimes during a big monsoon dump, the water features a little more real.
Whoever designed this place had a deep love for rocks, and maybe a lot of free time.
Had to have been some, I want to say, a hippy-dippy guy. He's got a lot of time on his hands and was in the right mindset.
It's not just the house that stands out, so does the view. The property comes with 40 acres surrounded by state land that makes it feel more like 400. No neighbors, no traffic, just you, the mountains, and occasionally a snake.
If I was a snake, I'd try to get in that house, right?
Despite the remote location, Sidewinder Ranch is grid-tied with power courtesy of a nearby cell tower. It also has a private well and septic system. But the home needs some work. The current owner spent years hauling out trash and hauling in a vision, turning what was once a forgotten tax property into a livable work of art. Now he's ready to pass the torch to the next desert dreamer.
A motorcycle guy, he does all kinds of crazy stuff, so he just wants to start his next venture.
For a full cash offer of $225,000, you get the house, 40 acres of land, and the owner is even throwing in this John Deere track loader. We're outside of Wilcox. Kyle Simchuk, 12 News.
How does it feel to be here today?
It feels great. Long time coming. I'm very proud of myself for it.
Born and raised in Avondale, Michelle Solano is the first in her family to graduate from college. A moment she has been working toward for years.
It's very hard and stressful, especially being a young kid.
At just 15 years old, Michelle was kicked out of her parents' home, forced to take care of herself.
And I was kind of bouncing around from house to house.
She continued going to high school, working part-time to get by. Then during her senior year, right before she was set to graduate, Michelle dropped out, needing to work full-time. It was also around that time when she became pregnant with her first child.
And I had to stop working because I got sick a lot, so I lost my apartment.
Forcing her to live out on the street once again. The only help she had was from her grandparents.
They were always there for me, even as I was struggling as a single mom.
Michelle then began working full-time as a custodian at Estrella Mountain Community College. It was there when she became inspired to go back to school and earn her GED. Over the years, she continued to work and raise her 3 kids. But she always wanted to continue her education. What pushed her to keep going was her kids.
My youngest one wasn't about to graduate. She just wanted to work. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to show her that I can go to school and work a full-time job.
With Michelle taking night classes and working during the day, she finally made it.
So grateful and happy.
Getting her associate's degree, walking across the stage with her kids cheering from the crowd, and her grandparents close to her heart.
They both passed away recently, but I wanted to honor them. Sorry.
You're okay.
They would be very proud.
From here, Michelle plans on transferring to NAU to get her bachelor's degree, wanting to prove to her kids and others who may be going through what she did that anything is possible.
I want to show them that, you know, they can achieve the dreams that they want as well.
In Glendale, Chase Golightly, 12 News.
A walk down memory lane.
Time has gone by quickly.
Brings up all kinds of feelings for students and staff, past and present, of C.J. Jorgensson Academy of Service Learning.
Oh my gosh, so different.
Belen Caballero and her husband Richard graduated 8th grade from Jorgensson in 1962.
I was always giving my milk to Richard because I'm not a white. When I had chocolate milk, I would take that, but white milk, I'd give it to Richard.
Just a few years before the Perez siblings began kindergarten in the same building.
It was a little difficult for us. We didn't speak a lot of English, so we kind of adjusted and learned. This is where we started.
As Jorgensson celebrated its 68th anniversary, it learned this school year would be its last.
I can still hear voices of children. I can hear kids from the playground. But at the same time, I know things happen and, the changes have to be made. So bittersweet.
Jorgensson, located near 19th Avenue and Broadway Road, is one of 5 Roosevelt schools closing on May 23rd. Martin Luther King Jr., Maxine Bush, V.H. Lassen, and John R. Davis are also all shutting down. The board credits the closures to an increase in charter and private schools opening in the area, a lack of funding from the state legislature, and declining enrollment.
We have been here in the community for over 60 years, and so our students that go here now, their parents went here, their aunts, their uncles, their cousins went here.
Students and staff will be moving to other schools within the district, but it's undecided what the future holds for these buildings.
Although small, Jorgensson was a mighty school, and I hope that everyone remembers just the legacy of everything that happened here.
A legacy filled with students who went on to have brilliant careers and teachers who continue to make a difference.
People remember the good things about the school. For them to come back, that's meaningful.
But even after these halls become home to something else,
education keeps going and going.
The impact they had on so many lives will live on.
Those memories will always be with us.
In Phoenix, Gabriela Becerra, 12 News.
And coming up next, an Arizona family is heartbroken after their decades-old collection of handmade jewelry is stolen. Coming up, how you can help.
Breaking news, a crash on the 101 in Peoria. Expect delays in traffic tickets rising in the valley.
Student turning his diagnosis into his superpower, making an impact.
Alert, we've got a storm coming in from the northwest with rain coming down after 3
touchdowns. The Cardinals offense on fire.
Firefighters were able to contain that fire, saving the restaurant.
Extra Week continues through the weekend, rewinding some of the week's best journalism.
Journalism is how we connect to the world around us. On 12 News and streaming on 12+.
We started silversmithing back in 1972.
These items made by Navajo artisans Marietta and Henry Jackson are so much more than pieces of jewelry.
It's like putting yourself into the piece that you're making, your thoughts and your creativity.
Each piece from H.J. Jewelers is completely handmade. The family prefers to sell their pieces in person so they can talk to each buyer and show them the raw stones they started with.
Each piece has a purpose and it has a story behind it.
It's why losing a trailer full of those handcrafted pieces feels deeply personal.
I've had those stones for so long, and it's really been emotional and devastating for me.
On Thursday, the family drove from Flagstaff to San Jose, California for the Stanford University powwow. They loaded a trailer full of jewelry and their precious stones, only to wake up after their first night in a hotel to realize it had all been stolen.
There's padlocks on it, and apparently they drilled through the lock.
They called the San Jose Police Department.
It was just kind of like, okay, this happened again, so let's go on to the next one.
The family estimates up to $300,000 worth of goods was stolen. But the worst part, losing the stones the Jacksons have had for decades.
It's just devastating to see that, someone or some people would target elders who come from, the reservation, who literally grew up without running water and electricity and have made this, livelihood for themselves.
As they work with police and insurance, their grandchildren have set up a GoFundMe page to help get their business back up and running.
Seeing so many people support my grandparents means so much to me because my grandparents do so much for the community.
In the meantime, as they're asking the public to keep an eye out for their pieces, which are stamped with these very distinct markings, they have a message for the criminals responsible.
They don't realize what they took from us. It means so much to us. And if they could just give some of it back to me. I really would like that.
Angela Marino has seen her fair share of wildlife growing up in the valley.
Gila monsters, snakes, everything. I had a tarantula come in the house one time.
And of course, coyotes.
Last night, 2 of them were across the street.
But what she and her 11-year-old Maltese, Luigi, just went through?
This is the first time I've had any incidents with the critters.
It was last week at about 4:30 in the morning when Marino's brother let Luigi and her other dog, Sophia, out to use the bathroom.
Within seconds, the dog started yiping.
Marino says her brother ran over to Luigi and saw the coyote.
He had him in his mouth for a good 20 seconds before he took off,
leaving Luigi bleeding.
It was sad when I went to pick him up. It really did bother me.
She rushed him to the vet, where Luigi underwent emergency surgery. Now, days after the attack, little Luigi is doing better, having his drain removed Monday and left with about 30 stitches around his neck. But she's worried about it happening again, especially with so many creatures in her neighborhood.
There's a lot of old people here. I'm young compared to most of the people here. And, you know, they all have little pets.
The chances of attacks like this here in the valley are only going to go up as we get into summer.
So as those temperatures are increasing, wildlife is going to be more active.
Danielle Hinderleiter with Wildlife World Zoo says most wildlife, including coyotes, mountain lions, and javelinas, are most active at dawn and dusk, searching for any easy source of food and water. To keep them away, Hinderleiter says not to keep food and water outside, have high fencing, get rid of any potential hiding spots for animals, and be sure to check outside first before letting pets out.
We need to keep a close eye on all pets, but especially those smaller animals because they're an easy target.
Marino says she started taking some of those extra precautions to make sure her little ones are safe. Everyone needs a good coach.
Come off against me, you got it.
For these East Valley players, Maurice Kirby, or Coach Mo as they call him, is the best of the best.
Phil! Coach Mo means a lot. Known him since 4th grade. A really good guy. He's always had my back.
He's a great person. I mean, he's always there for us.
Kirby has been coaching for 5 years now. After playing professional basketball overseas, he came back to the States to share his love of the game with others, finding a passion with coaching.
For me, man, coaching is just about giving back to the community. I just love giving back to the kids, like being able to coach them and teach them and see the growth, see them improve on their skills. Actually brings me joy.
Then last month, it was a normal practice with his team at the Arizona Athletic Grounds when Coach Mo started to not feel well.
I just had a really bad headache. This felt like it was just something that was a little bit uncommon, a little bit different from what I've been normally experiencing.
Sophomore Riley Dirksen was at that practice and remembers seeing her coach go to the ground.
And we all just got very worried at that point. We all stayed. And it was just very tragic, and we weren't quite understanding what was happening.
Kirby was rushed to the hospital. His fiancée, Riley Kosis, was at home making dinner when she got the call.
My stomach turned inside itself, and next thing I know, I'm putting him into a helicopter to get airlifted to the next hospital.
It turns out it was more serious than they thought. Kirby suffered a serious brain bleed that put him in the ICU for nearly 2 weeks.
My first initial thought was like, this can't be real. There's something that came out of nowhere, man. They did all the tests and they were like, we can't track why it happened.
One thing on his mind, getting back to his team.
He was missing them so much.
Through support from his doctors and loved ones, Kirby was getting better every day. Then just this week, he stepped back onto the court.
Walked in and had tears in my eyes, man. Like, I think you never really know how serious those medical things are.
He wasn't the only one who had a few tears that day.
I was so happy just to see him getting out of that hospital bed.
And seeing him in here was amazing. I mean, all of us were so happy to see him.
It just shows that he's a fighter and definitely that he's out here getting back to do what he loves again.
Kirby is still going through physical therapy and needs a walker to help him move around.
Right now we're trying to take it slow, try to take it one day at a time.
But says nothing is going to stop him from being there for his team.
So I tell the girls, like, we just keep stacking days, right? So the ability to come in here and work every day, the ability for me to wake up every moment and just realize, like, I'm here for a purpose today and that there's work that has to be done, like, that's what we have to do. 1, 2, 3, 5!
An educated society has a lot of power, and I see us in the role as educators of current events. Tell me more about kind of the impact these crimes had on our community, you think? That's a huge responsibility, and I don't take it lightly. The power lies with the viewer. They're the ones who rise up and put pressure on our leaders.
It's what democracy looks like.
And I think that's one thing we do really well here at 12 News, and do so in an objective and straight down the middle way.
Troy Hayden, now on 12 News and the 12 Plus app.
Airman Francis Creer grabs his tools and gets to work. He's a mechanic at Luke Air Force Base, but he doesn't work on jets. He works on trucks, and he knows what he does is crucial to the base's mission.
Because I know that every single vehicle that I repair and maintain will have an impact to the entire base. Each unit has a vehicle, and without vehicles, we won't be able to move personnel, equipment, and eventually we won't be able to fly sorties, flight missions.
So you take a lot of pride in your work.
I do, yeah, I do.
The old saying goes, if you've got it, a truck brought it. Airman Creer makes sure the trucks that carry parts and supplies around the base are in top working order.
I joined the Air Force mainly for job stability. I like that we get really good health insurance benefits. I have a family, and recently I just had my newborn.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And I couldn't imagine being able to support financially if it wasn't for the benefits that we get.
Airman Creer has worked in California and also the Middle East while enlisted, and he knows the skills he's learning here will help him in the future.
It's also like a good trade to be able to do. So career after maybe military service is something that maybe I can do in the civilian side. It just gives me options and it makes me competitive in the civilian side once that time comes.
So every day I get to spend a day with them.
This time last year, Deanna Lis's future was unknown. What she thought was a flu escalated to something much worse.
I had a lot of cough. I would get tired a lot quicker, so I wasn't able to walk too much.
She had COVID-19, which developed into pneumonia and a rare autoimmune condition known as MDA5. To make matters worse, she was in the hospital while her newborn was in the NICU at another hospital, and then her 1-year-old had to have a benign tumor removed.
All I could think about was like, how's he doing? How are they doing? And, still dealing with being sick and not knowing how I'm doing.
Hi. Then Dr. Bhuvan Badev, a pulmonary and critical care physician with the Norton Thoracic Institute at St. Joseph's Medical Center, walked into her life.
It created a lot of inflammation in her lungs as well as fibrosis, which is when we recognize that the disease is irreversible, meaning that her lungs will not get better and the transplant would be her only choice.
Which wasn't going to be easy. Her autoimmune disease could complicate the lung transplant, a situation that most medical centers would not attempt. Dr. Badev was confident his team could take on the challenge.
Each case, we see it as a human. We just don't see her lung disease. We see her as a new mom. We see her somebody who is young and has a family around her.
After a short stay on the waiting list and a 4-hour double lung transplant, Deanna's life had a new outlook.
Kind of incredible that I was able to breathe a lot better.
Very, very happy for her that she is able to spend this with her family and with her kids.
This will be the happiest Mother's Day for the Lomas family.
Grateful and thankful that St. Joe's took a chance on me for this and changed my life.
Dr. Thomas Griss is co-director of microbiology at the Mayo Clinic in Scottsdale. He's been studying valley fever for over 15 years.
Yeah, it's something about the soil and the climate that it is in this area, and we're still not 100% sure where it exists in the environment, but certainly we know that it thrives here, and all you need to do is have lungs and breathe.
Valley fever is caused by a fungus called coccidioides that lives in our desert soil. It's too small to see, but can be easily inhaled when soil becomes airborne. And once inside the lungs, the fungus can cause infection. The symptoms are similar to a bad cold, but for some, it can be severe.
You couldn't tell it by now, but I lost a lot of weight, probably 30 or 40 pounds in less than a month period.
6 years ago, 54-year-old Chris Sams was active and working as a district manager for a bicycle company.
So we were always riding our bikes. I think I was riding my bike outside 150 miles a week. So I was always outside or I was watching the dust storms.
Today, Chris is one of Mayo's most severe cases of valley fever, and there is no cure.
I have problems walking, brain fog.
Dr. Marie Grill is Chris's doctor.
Unfortunately, for less than 5% of the population, the infection can spread outside of the lung and can go elsewhere in the body. And when they're spread to the brain, that can cause meningitis and a number of complications related to that meningitis. It can be very severe.
Every 2 weeks, Chris comes in for an intensive treatment to target the fungus that has spread to his brain.
And so this is what we call intrathecal administration of a medication. And like Chris said, it means introducing the medication directly into the central nervous system.
So most of this, in the first point of contact in an urgent care setting, people aren't even being tested. And part of the reason they're not tested is because the results take a couple days to come back.
Dr. Griss, along with researchers from ASU, are focused on improving testing. They've invented the world's first rapid blood test for valley fever.
So this is our prototype valley fever serologic test. So as you can see, it looks like the rapid test that we would see during COVID times. We just put a little drop of the specimen there, and then put 3 drops of buffer on.
Oh, this really is like the COVID test.
And then we just wait 10 minutes, but that's till the final result is complete. We'll see in just a few seconds the sample will start running across the membrane, and usually we can see a result starting to show up pretty early. The blue line is our control line. That'll turn pink when we see that the fluid has passed over.
Oh.
The T is the test line, and you can see it starting to appear.
Oh.
And so this is the one that would tell you that you have antibodies against the fungus. It's kind of fun. You can see it like right before your eyes.
And thanks so much for watching. And just a reminder, new episodes of 12 News Weekend premiere every Friday on 12+. You can also watch past episodes on the app. It's pretty easy. All you have to do is download 12+ on your Apple TV, Fire TV, and Roku to watch for free. I'm Karima Devine. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend.
"1998, the year the Valley of the Sun changed forever. America's pastime, rooted into the identity of our Sonoran Desert. 12 News has been there for all of it, telling the Diamondbacks story, from the All-Stars to the championships to the impact on our community. Now the next chapter awaits.
The Diamondbacks play right here on 12 News.
Catch select games as we continue telling the Diamondbacks story. 12 News, your new home for D-backs baseball.